I'm going to talk about a band that I used to really love to listen to, and I honestly think that they are one of the best black metal bands of all time. Like, still. That band is Inquisition. I'm showing the CDs I have from them in my collection, and you will notice that I don't have their most recent album. I've heard it, and honestly, it's fucking killer. I just couldn't support them anymore. Feel free to speak your opinion on the matter, but mine isn't changing at this point. Now, I know Dagon wasn't arrested for what he had on his computer and all that, but sometimes police make mistakes. In fact, I'd say that's an understatement. Maybe he realizes that he has a problem, but it wouldn't appear that way. He just seems to do what he always does and just denies everything. Anyways, I just thought that something should be said to add a little context here. The first 7 albums in this video are Inquisition albums, in case you want to just skip ahead.
What's up, guys? Here I am, back for another CD collection video. I've already kind of talked about what I'll be showing first. We'll be digging them out of this, my sick Camp Crystal Lake duffel bag. Hell yeah. Oddly enough, this is funny, I brought this duffel bag with all these CDs in my car today. I was going to try to record a video on my lunch break at work or whatever, and I ended up like spilling a Red Bull all over this bag, unaware of it. So a lot of these Inquisition albums are digipacks, and they're pretty fucked right now. They're pretty soaked. I think they'll dry out and they'll be okay. They'll be warped all to hell. They're not gonna be worth shit at this point, but whatever. Is that an omen? I don't know. I don't really believe in that kind of shit. But anyways, I get it if you hate Inquisition. I definitely have, I've had my problems with them in the past, but goddamn, I still love their music. I rarely ever listen to it anymore, but here we go. So they started in 1988 as a band called Guillotine. They played thrash. They were living in Colombia at the time. Dagon changed the name to Inquisition in 90, but they still played thrash till about 94. So we have the first full-length album from them. Originally came out in 1998. We got and all their album titles are super long. You probably already know that. Into the infernal regions of the ancient cult. These first 4 or 5 albums that I have, which is the first 4 or 5 albums of the band, I have the 2015 Season to Miss re-releases. They originally came out on various labels, but and they all have revised artwork. They all have the Paolo Girardi artwork, he's just an awesome Italian artist. So yeah, this is their debut album. This is just an absolutely phenomenal black metal album. So this originally came out on Silphorium Records, which I'll be honest, I've never heard of. I'm going to show you the original cover art, which I actually prefer the originals to most of these, just because I'm just like that. I think Paolo Girardi is a far better artist than any of these guys, but I just like... so this one was... this original artwork was done by Tim Bishop. It was a painting. I mean, that's just weird looking and cool and colorful, in a time when most black metal stuff was black and white. I just dig it. It's weird, and yeah, this is just a fantastic album. One of the best, black metal debuts ever to come out of the U.S. What can I say? Then their second album originally came out in 2002. We got Invoking the Majestic Throne of Satan. Another phenomenal album. Honestly, they don't have much music that's not phenomenal. I know some people would say, especially after, they started, all the sketchy allegations started coming out, a lot of people would say they were never a very good band to begin with. I fully disagree with that. I think they are, like I said at the beginning, I think they are one of the better black metal bands of all time. So this original cover art was done by... painted by someone named Arish Kagal, and it looked like that. By the way, I didn't mention it, but the first album, they were a 3-piece. They had a bass player. Ever since then, at least since 2002, probably a little earlier, they became a 2-piece, and they never went back. Just a guitarist, vocalist, and a drummer, no bass player. Number 3 from 2004. By the way, that second album came out on Warhammer Records. So number 3 from 2004, we have Magnificent Glorification of Lucifer, probably one of their shortest album titles. Look at that very cool cover art. Yeah, originally released in 2002 or 2004, sorry, No Colors Records, a pretty infamous black metal label at this point. Done. This painting was done by Antichrist Kramer, another guy who's more than controversial in the black metal scene. Imagine that. Now, this next album, this would be where Inquisition really got on my radar. This is when I first started noticing them, and honestly, this and the next album are probably my favorites. From 2007 originally, Nefarious Dismal Orations. This digipack is completely soaked with Red Bull. Originally released on No Colors Records. This digipack is fucked. The CDs are all fine. You can see it's swelling pretty badly. This was a mint condition digipack. No, that's what it looks like now. Whatever, man. Whatever. I'm not rebuying these. I just can't do it, man. So let me show you the original cover art. This album is fantastic. This is probably my second favorite album they ever did. Now this next album, also properly fucked. This one's actually in worse condition than the last one, from the Red Bull. This is their fifth album, The Ominous Doctrines of the Perpetual Mystical Macrocosm. Try to say that without pausing for breath. Originally came out in 2010, originally released by Icarus Music. There's that redone cover. So yeah, this is just a masterful black metal album. Nothing really sounds like this. Look at it. Oh, dude. This thing is just literally falling apart as I touch it. Oh my god. And this is probably my favorite cover art too of all their albums. That right there. Fucking awesome. I think Antichrist Kramer painted that. Antichrist Kramer. I'm not a fan of the dude himself, but I am a fan, and not even really his music. I am a fan of his artwork, though. I will. Now, album number 6. This came out in 2013. They were actually signed to Season of Mist at this point. So 2 years after this is when they would start re-releasing all their earlier stuff. This album is the first album of theirs that did not grab me immediately. This was the one where I kind of went, okay, chink in the armor. This isn't very good. But I will say, after a couple of years, after letting this sit for a while and listening to it again, it's fantastic. And I'm not really sure what problem I had with it. It's a little bit more spacey sounding, a little bit more cosmic sounding. It's not in a symphonic way, but just in the atmosphere and everything. I have this pretty cool Season of Mist deluxe edition that came with like a leather keychain, and a patch, and maybe something else. I can't remember, but it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a faux leather box. Pretty nice. I love when Season of Mist does this. They usually don't even charge that much. They're usually not super expensive by any means. And this one's still in decent condition despite the Red Bull debacle. So yeah, fantastic album. This is what the original cover art looked like. Still, they're still going with Paulo Girardi at this point because fucking everybody in their mom's band were. And the last Inquisition album that I would ever buy would be from 2016 on Season of Mist Records, Bloodshed Across the Empyrean Altar Beyond the Celestial Zenith. This was the first one where their cover art would still be pretty cool, but I would not really be drawn into it like I would with all their other stuff. Don't remember the name of the artist here. I'm not really going to look into it. This is a pretty good album. This is kind of like that last one. This one took me a long time to get into, but that said, I never got into it as much as that last album. For me, this is I would say this is their weakest album, but I mean, it's still pretty good. I mean, if you can put out an album like this and this be your weakest album, I mean, you're a stellar band. What can anyone say about that? So yeah, they did have an album out from what a couple of years ago, and it's great. It might be their best work ever. I'm just not gonna buy it. I kind of made that bed, and now I'm gonna sleep in it. I just can't do it. Moving on to other bands now. The only thing that I would have from Finland's Insomnium. called, Above the Weeping World. This would be their third album from 2006. This band formed in '97, and they play a very somber, atmospheric, kind of emotionally charged melodic death metal. This is a really good album. At the time, this was my least favorite because their first two were really, really good. This one was like a little bit more polished, quite a bit more melodic, and that's when the band would start to change. They would add. I can't remember if there were clean vocals on this, but after this, there's just been clean vocals on every album, and I just don't dig that. I don't like clean vocals, even in melodic death metal. I just don't want to hear it. I think they still make good music, but I just can't get into their shit anymore. So for me, it's the first three albums from Insomnium, but they're a cool band. Then I've got two albums from Norway's In the Woods. In the Woods are an amazing band. This is probably, God, if you were to pick three bands from like the early days of, second wave Norwegian black metal, this would be, maybe the most underrated. If you like the first Ulver album, and everyone does, you're gonna like In the Woods, because that's kind of what it sounds like. So In the Woods, by the way, they were formed in Norway in 1991, basically started by members of Green Carnation. So they went from 91 to 2000, split up, came back in 2014, and they've been going ever since, but they don't really play black metal anymore. But they wouldn't be on the first album, really. Even by their second album, really wasn't black metal. It was good, but anyways. So what I have is this 1996 compilation. It was a re-release of their debut demo from '93 with some bonus tracks. So we're talking about A Return to the Isle of Men. So if you like that first Ulver album, again, get this and get their first album, because you need both. You're messing up real bad. And this is great, great, great black metal. I cannot stress that enough. And last thing I have is going to be their third album. This was a weird one because this band, they would reinvent themselves on every album. Like I said, only really their first album and demo stuff before that was actual black metal. This was like experimental, progressive metal of sorts, still very unique. So this came out originally in '99. I have the 2003 Candlelight Records version. Originally came out on Misanthropy Records, legendary label from England, I believe. This is a cool album. It's funny though. Like every other time I listen to it, I have a different opinion. I'll listen to it once and I'm like, man, I just don't dig this. I usually don't listen to it again for another year or two, and the next time I listen to it, I'll think it's amazing. So I think it is an amazing album. It just takes, you got to be open-minded. You got to be into progressive type metal. It's broken. Yeah, and what's funny is, they, like I said, they would change themselves all the time. This was almost the complete, original lineup. They only had it's almost all the same guys. They have a newer guitar player on this album, a guy named Chris, and Sin Larson, who would do like backing female vocals. She came in like a couple years before this, but other than that, it's mostly the original lineup. They would progress. They were a progressive band, really, in the true sense of the word. So, anyways, guys, that's all I got. What do you think? What do you think about Inquisition? I'd really love to hear your opinions. I'm not going to judge any of you. If you're going to tell me, yeah, I'm still a fan, I don't care, that's fine. If you hate them now, that's fine. If you think I'm an asshole for keeping their albums, that's fine too. Trust me, I do. It's not an easy thing to do, right? Yeah. Anyways, don't attack each other in the comments if you're gonna, which you guys never seem to do, which is awesome. I've never literally ever had a problem. I've been doing this like 5-6 years, but I'm tackling a semi-controversial topic, so let's just all be good to each other and get some discourse going. So as always, guys, I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll talk soon.